All right, Karina baby. Today is the 22nd of June. That makes you 5 years, 2 months, and 12 days old. Yeah, that's right. June 22nd. And it's honey sandwich. And this is Kathmandu. Honey sandwich. Mrs. Bear is getting Little Bear lunchbox ready to take to school. Little Bear helps to pack some of his favorite foods: a strawberry milkshake, a bag of chips, and an apple. "What sandwich would you like today?" asked Mrs. Bear. "Honey, please," says Little Bear. "You had honey sandwiches yesterday," says Mrs. Bear, "and the day before. How about something else for a change?" Little Bear can't think of anything else. Mrs. Bear looks in the cupboard. "You could have raspberry jam, crunchy peanut butter, or chocolate spread," she suggests. What else?" asks Little Bear. "There's tuna fish, cheese, and mushy bananas," says Mrs. Bear. Little Bear shook his head. "What I'd like," he said, "what I'd really, really like is sandwiches with lots and lots of honey." Mrs. Bear laughed and cut some slices of crusty bread. Then she spread them with butter and thick, sticky honey. "Yummy," says Little Bear, swaying his lunchbox all the way to school. "I've got my favorite lunch today." Look at that. Little Bear has his favorite lunch. That was for the 22nd. Tomorrow's silly seesaw, but honey sandwiches. Alright, let's see what is in this book for today. The History of Tom Thumb. See Tom Thumb? In the days of the great Prince Arthur, there lived a mighty magician called Merlin, the most learned and skillful enchanter in the world that the world has ever seen. The famous magician, who could take any form he pleased, was traveling about as a poor beggar, and called very tired. He stopped at the cottage of a plowman to rest himself and asked for some food. The countryman bade him welcome, and his wife, who was a very good-hearted woman, she brought him some milk in the wooden bowl and some coarse brown bread on a platter. Merlin was very much pleased with the kindness of the plowman and his wife, but he could not help noticing that though everything was neat and comfortable in the cottage, they both seemed to be very unhappy. He therefore asked them why they were so melancholy, and learned that they were miserable because they had no children. The poor woman said, with tears in her eyes, "I should be the happiest creature in the world if I had a son. Although he was no bigger than my husband's thumb, I would be satisfied." Merlin was very much so amused with the idea of a boy no bigger than a man's thumb, that he determined to grant the poor woman's wish. Accordingly, in a short time after, the plowman's wife and his had a son, who, wonderful to relate, was not a bit bigger than his father's thumb. The queen of the fairies wished to see the little fellow come in, and at the window, while the mother was sitting up in the bed, admiring him, the queen kissed the child, and giving it the name of Tom Thumb, sent for some of the fairies, who dressed her little godson according to her orders. An oak leaf hat he had for his crown. His shirt was web by spider spun, with jackets woven of the thickest dawn. His trousers were of feathers done. His stockings of apple rind, they tie with eyelash from his mother's eyes. His shoes were made of mouse's skin, tanned with the downy hair within. Tom never grew any larger than his father's thumb, which was only of ordinary size, but as he got older, he became very cunning and full of tricks. When he was old enough to play with the other boys, and had lost all of his own cherry stones, he used to creep into the bags of his playfellows, fill his pockets, and getting out without their noticing him, would again join in the game. One day, however, as he was coming out of the bag of cherry stones, where he had been stealing as usual, the boy to whom it belonged chanced to see him. Ah, my little Tommy," said the boy, "so I have caught you stealing my cherry stones at last, and you shall be rewarded for your thievish tricks." On saying this, he drew the string tight round his neck, and gave the bag such a hearty shake that poor little Tom's legs, thighs, and body were sadly bruised. He roared out with pain and begged to be let out, promising never to steal again. A short time afterwards, his mother was making a batter pudding, and Tom, being very anxious to see how it was made, climbed up to the edge of the bowl, but his foot slipped, and he plumped over head and ears into the batter without his mother noticing him. When stirring him into the pudding bag, and put him in the pot to boil, the batter filled Tom's mouth and prevented him from crying. But on feeling the hot water, he kicked and struggled so much that his mother thought that the pudding was bewitched, and pulling it out of the pot, she threw it outside the door. The poor thinker who was passing by lifted up the pudding, and putting it into his bucket, he then walked off. As Tom had now got his mouth cleared of the batter, he then began to cry aloud, which so frightened the thinker that he flung down the pudding and ran away. The pudding being broken to pieces by the fall, Tom crept out, covered all over with the batter, and walked home. His mother, who was very sorry to see her darling in such a woeful state, put him into a teacup and soon washed off the batter, after which she kissed him and laid him in bed. Soon after the adventure of the pudding, Tom's mother went to milk her cow in the meadow, and she took him along with her. As the wind was very high, for fear of being blown away, she tied him to a thistle with a piece of fine thread, and the cow soon observed Tom's oak leaf hat, and thinking the appearance of it, took poor Tom Thumb and the thistle in one mouthful. While the cow was chewing the thistle, Tom was afraid of her great big teeth, which threatened to chew him in pieces, and he roared out as loud as he could, "Mother, mother, where are you, Tommy, my dear Tommy?" said his mother. "Here, mother," replied he, "in the red cow's mouth." His mother began to cry and wring her hands, but the cow, surprised at the odd noise in his throat, opened her mouth and let Tom drop out. Fortunately, his mother caught him in her apron, and he was falling to the ground, or he would have been dreadfully hurt. She then put Tom in her bosom and ran home with him. Tom's father made him a whip of a good barley stew to drive the cattle with, and having one day gone into the fields, Tom slipped a foot and rolled into the furrow. A raven which had been flying over picked him up and flew with him over the sea, and there dropped him, a large fish swallowing Tom the moment he fell to the sea, which was soon after caught and brought for the table of King Arthur. When they opened the fish in order to cook it, everyone was astonished at finding such a little boy, and Tom was quite delighted at being free again. They carried him to the king, who made Tom his dwarf, and he soon grew a great favorite at court, for his tricks and gambols had not only amused the king and the queen, but also the knights of the Round Table. It is said that when the king rode out on horseback, he often took Tom along with him, and if a shower came on, he used to creep into his majesty's waistcoat pocket, where he slept till the rain was over. King Arthur one day asked Tom about his parents, wishing to know if they were as small as he was, and where they were, and whether they were well off. Tom told the king that his father and mother were as tall as anybody about the courts, but in rather poor circumstances. On hearing this, the king carried Tom to his treasury, the palace where he kept all his money, and told him to take as much money as he could carry home to his parents, which made the poor little fellow caper with joy. Tom went immediately to procure a purse, which was made of a water bubble, and then returned to the treasury, where he retrieved a silver 3-penny piece to put into it. Our little hero had difficulty in lifting the burden upon his back, but he at last succeeded in getting it placed in his mind, and set forth on his journey, however without meeting with any accident, and after resting himself more than 100 times by the way, in 2 days and 2 nights he reached his father's house in safety. Tom had traveled 48 hours with a huge silver piece on his back, and was almost tired to death, when his mother ran out to meet him and carried him into the house. But he soon returned to court, and Tom's clothes had suffered much in the battered pudding. and the inside of the fish, his majesty ordered him a new suit of clothes, and to be mounted as a knight on a mouse. Of butterfly's wings his shirt was made, his boots of chicken hide, and by the nimble fairy's blade, well learned in the tailored trade, his clothes were supplied. A needle dangled by his side. A dapper mouse he used to ride, thus stunning Tom in safety pride. It was certainly very diverting to see Tom in the dress and mounted on the mouse, as he rode out hunting with the king and nobility, who were all ready to expire with laughter at Tom and his fine pricing charger. The king, who was charmed with his address, and had ordered the little fire to be made in order that Tom might set upon his table, and also the piece of gold, a spin high, with a door an inch wide, to live in. He also gave him a coach drawn by six small mice. The queen was so enraged at the honours conferred on Sir Thomas that she resolved to ruin him, and told the king that the little knight had been saucy to her. The king sent for Tom in great haste, but being fully aware of the danger of royal anger, he crept into an empty snail shell, where he lay for a long time, until he was almost starved with hunger. But at last he ventured to peep out, and seeing a piece of his concealment, he got close and jumped astray on it. Was carried up into the air. The butterfly flew with him from tree to tree and from field to field, and at last returned to the court where the king and the nobility and strove to catch him. But the little poor Tom fell from the seat of a watering pot, in which he was almost drowned. When the queen saw him, she was in a rage, and said he should be beheaded, and he was again put into a mousetrap until the time of his execution. However, a cat, observing something alive in the trap, pattered it about till the wire broke, and set Tom at liberty. The king received Tom again into favor, which he did not live to enjoy, for a large spider one day attacked him, and although he drew his sword and fought well, yet the spider poisonous breath at last overcame him. King Arthur and his whole court were so sorry at the loss of their little favorite that they went to mourning, and raised a fine white marble monument over his grave with the following epitaph: Here lies Tom Thunb, King Arthur's knight, who died by the spider's cruel bite. He was well known in Arthur's court, where he afforded gallant sport. He rode a tilt and taunt, and on a mouse a hunting went. Alive he filled the court with mirth. His death to sorrow soon give birth. Wipe your eyes and shake your head, and cry, alas, Tom Thumb is dead. Oh. So there's the story of Tom Thumb. He was just a little tiny boy the size of his papa's thumb. What living things need, right? They need love. Lots and lots of unconditional love and understanding. What's inside? The living world. Living things are things that are alive. Now living things can grow and change. Plants, animals, and people are living things. Non-living things are things that never lived or are dead now. Rocks, houses, and cars are non-living things. Clouds are non-living things. Water is a non-living thing. What living and non-living things can you find in this picture? The wolf is a living thing. The dirt and the water do have all kinds of things and bacteria in it. Okay. Trees and plants are living things. Cars are non-living things. Humans, beings, are living things. Animals are living things. It's a fact. Earth is home to more than 10 million different kinds of living things. 10 million. Over 10 million. Basic needs. All living things have basic needs, or things they need to stay alive. Almost all living things need food, water, air, and living space. This is true no matter where a living thing lives. Plants, animals, and people each have some special needs too. Plants need sunlight to grow. Plants use energy and sunlight to make food. Almost all living things need air. The family who lives here grows food in the vegetable garden. It's a fact. Rainforests provide living space for more than half the world's different kinds of animals. Some birds build nests in trees. The nests serve as shelter for their young. People, plants, and animals need water. Food. Food gives people and animals energy to move about. It also gives your body the energy it needs to work. Plants do not need to eat, but they do need food. They make their food from the sunlight and water. It's a fact. Plants can live without food as long as 2 months, but they can live without water for only about a week. Oh. It's a fact. People can live without food for as long as 2 months, but they can live without water for only about a week. Some people eat meat as a part of their diet. Grass is an important plant to many hoofed animals. This cow gets the energy it needs from eating grass. See the cow? Bread is more from the grains of some plants. Bread provides energy for people. Eating fruits and vegetables every day helps to keep the body healthy. Water. We could not live without water. Water helps to move nutritious things through the body. It also helps the body to get rid of waste. Plants also need water to live and grow. Many animals get water from streams and other sources of fresh water. People need to drink lots of water when they exercise. Plants take in most of their water from the soil. Clouds. Clouds are more of tiny droplets of water, rain, and snow fall from the clouds. Farmers need lots of water to grow crops. They use machines to water large fields. It's a fact. A jellyfish is made almost entirely of water. Let's go camping. When you plan a camping trip, you need to make sure that all your basic needs will be met. A tent will give you shelter. You can bring food and water with you. You don't need to worry about air. Everywhere you go, there will be air. Words you know. Here are some words that you read earlier in this book. Say them out loud and try to find the things in the picture. Nest. Nest. Here is a nest. Food. The people are eating food. Water. There is a stream of water. Cloud. There are clouds in the sky. Tree. There are trees growing from the earth. Plant. There are lots of plants. Shelter. Many animals need shelter to protect them from the weather or attack. Some animals use caves for shelter, others dig a hole in the ground. People need shelter too. Shelters can be built from many kinds of materials. Caves give shelter to bats and other animals. A burrow is a hole dug in the ground by an animal for shelter. Woodchucks are animals that live in burrows. Houses in many parts of the world are made of bricks. Bricks are strong blocks made of baked clay. It's a fact. Some people in Europe live in caves almost 1 million years ago. Polar bears dig their dens out of snow. The den protects them from cold temperatures. Some houses are built on stilts, poles driven into the ground. This protects the house against flooding. Living together. Many animals live in groups met to meet their needs. The group can be as small as one pair. Some groups have thousands or even millions of members. Some animals live in groups to hunt. Others live in groups for protection from other animals. A group of lions is called a pride. Lions work together as a team to hunt. A group of fish is called a school. The fish gather into a ball when a hunter approaches. It makes it hard for the hunter to attack any one fish. It's a fact. Gorillas live in family groups called troops. One adult male, called a silverback, leads the group through the forest. A group of elephants is called a herd. Elephants help each other watch for hunting animals. A group of honeybees is called a colony. The bees work together to make food and take care of their young. A group of wolves is called a pack. The wolves work together to hunt other animals. So what did we learn about? We learned about a school of fish. We learned about a pride of lions. We learned about the silverback gorilla. Right? They march around in troops. We learned about the herd of elephants. We learned about the colony of bees. And we learned about the pack of wolves. Web of life. All plants, animals, and people are connected. We call this connection the web of life. People and animals depend on plants for food. Plants also make the oxygen we breathe. In turn, animals help to spread seeds to make new plants. Plants also need the carbon dioxide people and animals breathe out. People make rugs, cloth, and other household items out of wool taken from animals that eat plants. Grass and other plants provide food for many animals. Bees drink a sugary liquid from the flowers. They also help to spread pollen that plants need to make new plants. They take the nectar. The sun in the center of the web of life. Animals and plants need the sun to survive. Animals help to keep soil healthy. Their body waste gives the soil nutritious things that help new plants to grow. Chickens provide us with eggs to eat. Many people also eat meat from the chickens. At afternoon in the park. It's a beautiful day to visit the park. People are watching the animals, and the animals are watching the people. Trees and flowers are blooming, and a gentle breeze blows. Words you may know. Here are some words that you learned earlier. Say them out loud and try to find the things in the picture. Grass. We have some grass. Bee. Bzz, bee. Sun. Got some sunlight. Animal. What kind of animal is this? It's a bird. Plant. Here's some plants. And shelter. This is a shelter. Did you know hummingbirds take in half their weight in food every day? In the wild, elephants usually eat about 16 hours a day. Blue whales are the largest creature that ever lived, but they eat very small animals called quail. Some quail are smaller than half of an inch, 1.3 centimeters long. Many useful medications come from plants. Some of the plants have been used as medications for hundreds of years. A tomato is about 95% water. Koalas that live in the wild rarely drink water. Instead, they eat the water they need by eating the leaves of the plants. Puzzle. Close up. We've zoomed in on 3 scenes from the book. Can you tell which of the 4 basic needs are shown? Shelter, food, and water. Shelter, food, water. Double trouble. These 2 pictures are not exactly the same. Can you find the 5 things that are different in the picture? The horse is a different color. The squirrel's facing a different way. This one has 2 butterflies on it. There's no butterflies down there for the blue ones. 1, 2, 3. I wonder if that counts as 4 and 5. 1, 2. In picture B, the trees on the left are missing. The horse spots are reversed. The squirrel is facing the opposite direction. The fence is missing a rail, and the blue butterflies are missing. Alright, so the fence is missing a rail. The blue butterflies are missing. The horse is different. The squirrel's a different way. And the trees aren't there. Alright. Alright, so, rabbit. Match each word on the left with its picture on the right. Rabbit. Can you see the rabbit? Rabbit. Nest. Do you see the nest? Nest. Cloud. Where is the cloud? Cloud. Colony. Colony. Burrow. Burrow. And flowers. Flowers. True or false? Can you figure out which of these statements are true? Turn to the page numbers given to help you find the answers. Clouds are living things. Go to page 4. It's false. Air is made up of only one gas. Go to page 12. There are more than 10 million kinds of living things in the earth. True. Plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. True. A jellyfish body is made up entirely of air. What is the jellyfish made of? It's made of water. Alright, so 1. Clouds are living things. False. 2. Air is made up of only one gas. True. There are more than 10 million kinds of living things on Earth. That's true. Oh, wait. Wait. Okay, so 1. Clouds are living things. That's false. 2. There are more than 10 million kinds of living things on Earth. That's true. 3. Plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. That's true. 4. Air is made up of only one gas. That's false. And 5. A jellyfish body is made up almost entirely of air. That's false. It's made up almost entirely of water. Alright, Karina baby, let's sing a song. Let's sing Lila Tove and good night to you. Lila Tove, may your dreams come true. We sing Lila Tove, may Israel protect you throughout the night until we reach the morning light. Mama has until the 10th with these books of next month, so I want to get through all these books with you because that's what we do when we get library books. We go through all the ones that are new and then we set them aside and we bring them back. We always did that. Mama actually stopped getting books from the library because for a long time with you because it just didn't make any sense because we were going to too many libraries. We were going just to too many. So we'd go to the caterpillar libraries, you called it, the tree libraries, you called it, the block libraries, you called it, the dollhouse libraries, you called it. So we had a lot of libraries that we would go to. Alright, Karina baby, Mama loves you. I love you to pieces and I miss you so incredibly much. Like, I can't wait to hug you and hold you and just take you wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. I never, ever, ever, ever thought I'd be away from you. Not when you're this young. I never wanted to leave your side. Not until you were 7. I want you to be bigger first. So, I love you, baby, and I miss you, and can't wait to see you. Just like Papa always used to say, Mama's his sun, Papa's my moon, and you are a rainbow, baby. I love you so incredibly much, and so does your Papa, baby. We love you. I love you. Good night, baby.